Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Global Council Trustee virtual meet and greet. All of these faces except mine that you see on your screen right now are candidates for the United Religions Initiative Global Council for the North American region. And we're going to be together for about an hour today to get to know them because we're spread all over the country and there's no way for us to all meet in person. And so we're going to take advantage of the technology that we have to get to know each other in this way. So throughout this call, if you have questions or comments that you want to share, you can use the chat box here. The candidates are each going to start by giving a 3-minute little get-to-know-you speech about themselves. They're going to go in a randomized order, and I will be timekeeper extraordinaire. My name is Jaya, and my role with URI is the North America Regional Coordinator. And so my role in this space is as the facilitator of this conversation. As the staff of United Religions Initiative, we have no bias in this election, and this is really the decision for our cooperation circles to make of who they want to be the representatives for North America on the Global Council. And so I am here to facilitate and equally promote all of these candidates for your consideration for the Global Council. And so with that, I'm just going to take a moment for us to center ourselves, to take a few deep breaths together, and then we will start. So let's just close our eyes and take a deep breath in. Take a breath out, and let's fully come into this place where we are together so that we can be fully present to listen to one another and to engage with one another. Wonderful. And we're going to begin this morning. Ellen Vaillancourt is going to start us off as the first speaker here. And what we're going to do is, for this portion, everyone who's not speaking, I'm going to turn your cameras back on, and I will turn your cameras off, rather, and I will turn your camera back on when it's your time to speak. All right. So, Ellen, I'm going to start my timer at 3 minutes now, and you can go ahead.
Great. Thank you very much, Sari, and thank you to all my candidates. I'm really happy to be here as one of 8 of you, and from all over the countries, I should say, because I'm from Canada, Vancouver, Canada. So I'm just going to start by talking a little bit about sharing who I am, a little bit about my experience, some of my accomplishments, my understanding of URI, and why I want to be a Global Council trustee and what I think I can bring to the position, what my vision is for the next 4 years as Global Council trustee. So first of all, I'm a mother of 2 young adult sons, and I'm recently an adoptive mother of 4 young Afghani political refugees here in Canada who will be moving in next week, in fact. Aside from that, I'm a designer and a social architect, a peacemaker, creative development strategist. My roles currently are as an associate member with the Humanities Institute at Simon Fraser University. I'm also the North American Governing Council member and representative for the International Peace Research Association, and also member of several CCs in Vancouver area, and also just founded one recently, United for Humanity in the Spirit of Earth. So, 1 minute and 42 seconds, I better rush. Some of my experiences and accomplishments. I was recently at the Paris Climate Summit back in December and visited the jungle in Calais. I'm very close to environmental work, working with Indigenous peoples, human security and justice. I'm a First Nations advocate and work in collaboration, hosting a lot of interfaith dialogues with people locally, globally, and I think part of what I want to be seeing as a Global Council trustee is, given that we're in North America and our history of immigration, I think that we have a lot to offer to the rest of the world, given that we're a multicultural and diverse society, our diverse makeup, that only other countries are beginning to see right now. So we've been ongoing and ever developing that, and we have a lot to offer. Where we live in a place of relative peace and harmony with many different cultures and interfaith, interreligious diversity, where we can live, play, work together. I think the second thing is looking at reconciliation for the treatment of our First Nations people, which has been reprehensible. We're a model to the rest of the world. Canada is for that. And I think as North Americans, as primary industrial users, we're looking at how we can be more equitable and seek justice on the environment, because so many suffer at the hands of us. That's all the time I have. I'm over, so thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you so much. Did a good job keeping to your time. And I just want everyone to know as well, the reason we've capped it at 3 minutes is not because we're mean people, but just so we honor the time, and we do have a number of candidates to speak, and so we want to give everyone equal opportunity to speak. Stephanie Humphrey is going to speak next. And so Stephanie will turn your webcam on and get you going here. And just to answer a question that came across in the chat box, and that is asking how many candidates will be elected to the Global Council. There will be 3 candidates elected to the Global Council ultimately, and each cooperation circle gets 3 votes. So cooperation circles vote as a consensus of the circle for 3 candidates. So you will see on your ballot that you've received from Karen that you have everyone's names, and you can tick 3 boxes, or less than 3, but you cannot vote for more than one candidate more than one. And so on that technical note, I'm going to hand it over to Stephanie to share with us about herself.
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Humphrey. I'm 28 years old. I live in California, just north of San Francisco. So I am a member at Unity in Marin, which is a Christian organization. They actually recently rebranded to New Thought Spirituality, but it origins in Christianity. And there I serve as the Director of Youth and Family Ministry. So I'm in charge of the children's church from birth to 18 years old. I'm also a board member at Marin Interfaith Council, and there I serve on the young adult team and the justice advocacy team. And MIC is the cooperation circle for URI. So that's how I'm involved with URI. And I actually personally became involved last October at the Parliament of the World's Religions. That was my first really event with URI. And I really just fell in love with the organization. I met so many amazing people, and it was really amazing to see just the global reach that URI has, and that really connected with me, and that's why I'm here now. So I do have experience working on an interfaith board, and I think that would be something that would be really helpful for me to bring to URI. And I just, on a personal note, really have a passion. I mean, as you can see from the different areas that I've been involved with, I really like working with young adults and youth, and really enjoy building a home for them in these organizations. And it's definitely difficult in Marin County. There's not a lot of young people here, and certainly not many that are interested in interfaith work or have their own faith practice, but it's something that I am working on now and will for the rest of my life, is just really involving the youth in this work. And I also really find just fulfillment in serving others. And the young adult group at Unity that I'm a part of is a service group, and what I do with MIC is also the advocating justice. So I really feel at home there. And I think these are, qualities and passions that I bring to URI, and where I would see my role on the board is getting involved in those areas. And I think I definitely am newer to URI. I've only been involved since October, but I think I bring like an energy and an excitement and passion with my newness, and so I think that's really going to be helpful in kind of like getting movement and action going. So, and it looks like my time's up. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you, Stephanie. And Ardey, I'm going to ask you to turn your web camera on because you are next. And thank you, Stephanie, for that. And I think someone was having trouble hearing Stephanie. I think others of us were fine. If you are having issues, my first suggestion would be to try refreshing your browser to try and get that to work. And Ardey, if we can try and get your camera and microphone on. There we go. All right, I'm going to turn myself off and you can start.
I'm Ardey Turner. I've been involved in URI since 1997. I was part of the production crew that helped put it on. I came in as a servant. As I learned about it and grew in it and was surprised and delighted by what I was learning, I was, when we signed the charter, I created a CC called Circle of Healers. I'm a Reiki master, have been for over 30 years. And what I got was that this is what I was supposed to do, is to send the people that are doing the work, the healing energy of all that is every day. And so that's what I've done. I have been a part of the North America region. My CC is in the multi-region, but I became involved in the North America region because we can. And I helped create the North America leadership team. I was the first chair, and I tell people that I became the first chairs because nobody else wanted it. And so I served that for 4 years, I believe. I'm the immediate past chair and have been on the board working. At the trustee level, working as the connector between the folks on the ground, the CCs on the ground, to be the voice of the folks so that when we come together at the trustee level, that we have a clear idea of what's really needed. And so I'm a good listener. I am what you would call an empathic intuitive. I have discernment. I know how to listen, and I really do see the best in everyone. However, I do, like I said, I do have discernment, so there is, there's that as well. I know whenever they ask us what we're good at and all that kind of stuff, it's always a challenge for me. I'm just, really what I'm doing is God's job. And so by coming in at the trustee level, I have experience on the ground, on the regional level, and then I'm able to really be able to speak for the people that we're representing and to highlight them and make them the best. So my time is up. I see Sari's face, and
yes.
It's time for me to go. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ardey. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with our technical difficulties. Much appreciated.
And there I am.
There we go. Reed, why don't you give us your 3 minutes, and we'll work on the technical issues for everyone else.
Here we go. I'd like to start by sharing a little bit of my faith. My name is Reed Price, and I am located outside of Seattle on Bainbridge Island in Puget Sound. I was involved in mainstream Christianity as a youth and found, at 59 now, and found that as I was becoming an adult, it was difficult for me to wrestle with the dogma and doctrine, which at that point in mainstream Christianity, at least from my experience, seemed to at least bow towards fundamentalist thinking. I had the opportunity later in life, a little after college, to run into the Jesus seminar. One of my college professors was one of the founding fellows of that group, and I came to understand that religious practice is in many ways plastic. It's changeable. It represents the people who are worshiping as much as that which they worship. And that gave me an opportunity to recognize both the pluralism within a denomination and the recognition of pluralism across all faiths. And that's something that I have been learning and appreciating more and more over time. There was a phrase that sort of got me in the door of the United Church of Christ, which is where I am currently a member, about not having to check your brain at the door. That sounds a little snooty, maybe out of context, but I do think that it's important that as people of faith, we either give up the use of our brains or maybe even more importantly, our hearts. And that's the irony. In the year and a half, and as a lay person in a group of Buddhist, Order of Buddhist Contemplatives, a small group here meeting on Bainbridge. I think that interfaith is a challenging journey, a rewarding journey. I've been active in interfaith groups. I've been a officer in the Bainbridge Island North Kitsap Interfaith Council as a communications coordinator, a president. I currently coordinate a free meal program that is run by a number of different faith communities. We cooperate to do that monthly. And I'm a former journalist and editor in mainstream media, so I have skills of reportage and collaboration and listening and learning. Like Fred, I have some experience in video, also social media and digital publishing. And like Fred, which I wasn't going to say, but I would like to add that I think that we are at an interesting time where I think Ibu Patel has said that we're at a time now where interfaith is an understood medium of exchange, that we do get together on an interfaith basis. But I think that often it's a case sometimes of parallel play, and the real challenge for us in coming years is to try to figure out how to make meaningful the connections, the bridges that we have in interfaith, and change the conversation. That's the part that I think is most challenging and is available to us. I've been nominated by the Charter for Compassion Cooperation Circle, and I agree with the charter that compassion lies at the heart of all religious, ethical, and spiritual traditions. And I believe that when we look at peace building and the work laid out in the principles of URI, that compassion is maybe the medium of exchange for us to move forward.
Thanks so much, Reed. Reverend Carolyn, why don't we try getting your webcam on again? You should have no trouble doing that now. You just click the button. There we go. All right, and I'll hand it over to Reverend Carolyn Wilkins to tell you a bit about herself.
Good morning, everyone. This is such an illustrious group of people who are all actively working with faiths around the world. And I wanted to just share a little bit about myself. And the work that I've been doing has been in two different areas in general. I've been a business manager, executive in Fortune 500 companies, and I've also been a practitioner and minister involved in Church of Religious Science and now Agape. But I've also been the bridge between a lot of the people that I've worked with. I've worked with artists, ministers, engineers, musicians, and they're all very creative and outgoing people. And I've had the opportunity to help to bring their visions into reality, bring the ideas that they've had to make a difference in the world into a place of manifestation through products, through programs, and through their own books and music, for example. Right now, I'm the president and the founder of PeaceNet, which is an organization that's a voice for women and children, and our vision is peace. I'm also the director of the Global Works Ministry at the Agape International Spiritual Center, which is located in California, but it is a global organization. And in the work I do outreach to 30 or 40 organizations in a humanitarian way. We provide support, capacity building skills, as well as funding for their programs. I'm also the chairperson of the Culver City Interfaith Alliance and work around the world. And in addition to the work that I do in general, I also help to lead projects. And in fact, I work, on a project with the Oprah Winfrey Network on the Belief Series, which many of you may have seen, which looks at faiths around the world and the commonality that many of the faiths have in what they do. What I wanted to take a breath and share with you, though, is my life has really changed in the last month. Besides the work that I've done in the faith organization, I've also taught nonviolence and peer mediation in the inner city schools of Los Angeles. And I attended a program in India just in March that allowed the vision of peace to show up, because over 1 million people were there each day, letting me know that peace and nonviolence in an interfaith and intercultural way can be celebrated and attained. Thank you. And I want to also just say that I am writing a culmination of the experiences in a book called Peace, Hope, and Happiness, A World of Possibilities.
Thank you, Reverend Carolyn. We'll try this again. I started talking and my mic somehow went away. So thanks for wrapping up.
Yes.
And we are hopefully going to go to Dr. Joan now. Thank you, Reverend Carolyn, for sharing. Dr. Joan, if you can please turn on your camera by clicking the camera on button. There we go. Perfect. All right, I'll take my face off and I will let you start your 3 minutes.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure when it all works, all the technology. It's hard to sum up a life of as many years as I have. Just looking at the names and the faces, I probably am the senior member of these those who are speaking today. I'm the mother of 3 grown children, the grandmother of 9, and the great-grandmother of 1. And so for me, no matter what else I have to say, probably my greatest learnings and hopefully my greatest gifts have been to being a part of that family. But probably the rest of us, excuse me, we just lost the notes. The rest of I have to try to focus a little on some of the activities of my life. I have been very privileged to have had my life changed by Martin Luther King. When I was in my early 30s, Martin Luther King came to Cleveland to help elect the first black mayor in the country. And in the process, I began to work with Dr. King and invited him to my church, thinking that that would be wonderfully accepted and people would be thrilled to have him there. The fact of the matter is that isn't how it turned out. It turned out that the wealthiest people in that congregation, the people with the most privilege and the most notoriety, weren't particularly happy to have Dr. King come. He did come. He was, in fact, one who ministered to all those who were there, and even though he finally wasn't allowed to speak inside the congregation, he spoke on the steps, and 3,000 people heard him speak. And from that day to this, my life was forever changed. I worked with Dr. King directly. He helped me direct my life. And so much of my life has been given to the areas of racial justice. I have served as the General Secretary of the National Council of Churches in the United States and have been privileged to work in a key position at the World Council of Churches. And so I've spent much of my life in the ecumenical world, a great deal of late dealing also with issues of the environment. The issues of the environment have been very much taken up by the ecumenical movement, and I'm grateful to all those who helped me on my way, as I gave much of my life to helping people to be ecumenical, to understand how people of different faiths, when URI was a baby, I remember it's being created and had great dreams for it then, and it has well beyond realized all the dreams there were, and in many ways, probably it is God's gift as we see what's happened. And so I would be happy to have the years that remain for me to be spent serving in an organization that cares deeply about God's people around the world.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joan. We're going to move next to Jaya, Priya, Reinhalter. And Jaya, if you can turn on your camera. Just turning the cam on button. There we go. All right, and I will turn it over to you. And sorry if I pronounced your name wrong.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Jaya Priya. I was actually born and raised in an interfaith community called Kashi, which is also a cooperation circle with URI. We also had programs that were interfaith for youth. One of them being Spirit Interaction, which I was a very big part of throughout my youth, where we brought together different youth from different faiths around service projects in our communities. I also participated in the Parliament of the World's Religions for the first time in 2004 at age 16, and really awoke to the powerful global movement that is happening, which I don't think I had realized the extent of the interfaith movement until then. So that was a very transformative experience for me. And ever since then, interfaith has been a huge point of focus for me in all of my work and my studies. Today, I'm also a part of the Global Youth CC with URI and have taken up some leadership roles within Kashi. Recently moved back about a year and a half ago and have started working with them on global engagement and really re-engaging Kashi as a CC with the global spiritual and interfaith movement. And I've taken on a role as well as board of director with them, giving me some insight into the responsibilities of a board with an interfaith mission. I've also become the leader of what we call Kashi's Next Generation, which is our youth engagement program. And we've been working a lot on what it looks like for a grassroots community organization to facilitate the next generation in taking leadership and navigating the complexities of what that looks like and honoring the wisdom of the past and bringing, at the same time, bringing in the new. I also work with a partner of mine who's a restorative justice professor on building restorative systems for communities, grassroots communities. I think that's my time.
Yeah, fantastic. But Fred, if you can put your camera on, we'll go next with you.
All right. Hello. My name is Fred Fielding. I'm 45 with a 7-year-old son, and I live here in the San Francisco Bay Area. I have been active in interfaith work in a serious way the last 12 years. I grew up here in the Bay Area as an Episcopalian and was very involved in the youth programs through the diocese, which eventually led me to seminary. Though I'm not ordained, I did go to seminary under a youth ministry program. And it was there that I really got connected to interfaith in a very serious way. And the same kind of excitement and spiritual growth that I felt growing up doing all of this wonderful youth work was really that same kind of feeling that I had starting to do the interfaith work. And that's when I decided to make that a very serious part of my life. I am currently the board president of the Interfaith Center at the Presidio, which is a long-time cooperation circle. I am also starting my second term on the URI North America Leadership Council, and I've been involved with URI on and off in some official capacity since 2005. I also have a background in television and video production, and I've used those skills to create videos for URI and other interfaith groups. For me, I think there's a couple of really important things happening right now in North America. I think interfaith is really starting to take hold on a cultural level. The example I always seem to give is when there seems to be some sort of tragedy or a public incident that calls for people to come together, one of the first offerings in some level is an interfaith service of some kind. That didn't happen 15 years ago. And that allows for a lot of new doors to be opened for people to start to understand each other. And now what the URI is a very unique organization that can allow for growth in all kinds of ways that might not be possible in other kind of traditional grassroots organizations. The way we allow cooperation circles to be autonomous and gather around whatever they feel their calling is while being connected to a larger network and having that kind of freedom to be themselves as an organization while still taking on a larger identity through URI is something that's very powerful. And I have never seen an organization operate that way. I also think in terms of where URI is, it's on a generational shift, and it's time to continue the wisdom while bringing in new people. So that's my time. Thank you very much, and I look forward to questions and answers.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, everyone, for keeping to your time. And if we can have everyone, we're going to turn everyone's webcams back on now and move into a time of question and answer. So if you're in attendance and you have a question, please type that in the chat box and we'll pose that to the candidates. Because of the number of candidates and the amount of time we have, we're going to have each candidate respond to each question for 30 seconds. I have made a handy-dandy 10-second card, which will go up when you've got 10 seconds after 30. I feel like we're playing, with so many little numbers here, but we do know that we want to keep this to a reasonable amount of time so people can come back and watch it later if they need to. And so if you have a question and you're in attendance, please type that in the chat box. While we're waiting for those to come in, I'll go with one of my stock questions, and we'll have each of the candidates answer in a random order. And so the question is, what do you view as the role of the United Religions Initiative in North America? Again, that question is, what do you view as the role and purpose of the United Religions Initiative in North America? And Stephanie, you're right next to me, so you're the lucky one. You get to go first.
Yeah, I think that's what's interesting about URI being a global organization is that each region is going to have a specific need for us to fulfill. And what I see really in North America is a need for a community. I think we're becoming a more secular country, and it's not because that there isn't a desire to have to do social work and to be involved in a faith community. I think it's just because there aren't as many places to be out here to build a community and to invite.
Oh, looks like Stephanie's frozen. Her time's actually up though, so we'll just move along to Ellen. You are up.
Okay, same question?
Same question, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So I mentioned that a little bit in my introduction, but just to recap and then maybe expand on that a little bit. So given that North America, historically we're made up a nation made up of immigrants, with the exception of our First Nations, our Indigenous peoples. And so given that, we're really used to living in a multicultural, diverse society. It's been ongoing. It's something that's ever developing, and it's something that we can really offer to the world. I think a place where we can show how we live in harmony, where we play and work and live and love together.
And Ardey, why don't you go ahead and answer? And as a reminder, the question is, what do you view as the role and purpose of United Religions Initiative in North America?
I agree with Stephanie. It is the purpose of it is to give us a voice, a sense of being part of something larger, to be able to learn from others and to be able to share with others as we go along. It's knowing that we're not alone.
Thank you. Reed, you're up.
Okay. And it looks like I'm not freezing, so I'll just go ahead and say that I think that one of the things that I mentioned earlier is key, the idea of looking at ways that we can bridge the diversity of our country, and to do that in a way that is respectful of other traditions. It's in the DNA of the URI to allow traditions to exist in their separateness or in their diversity. The goal, I think, for us would be to try to find ways that we can work together, that we can show real action across those bridges.
Thank you, Reed. Jaya, why don't you go next?
Sure. I think what's really unique about URI is the many scales on which it works. So beginning with the grassroots communities actually built around building community and connection within each CC, and then URI providing the larger national framework for us to connect to one another, and then on top of that, the global scale. So I think that it's a really powerful thing, particularly in a society such as North America that has become so deeply disconnected from community, and a very deeply individualistic society, that we actually have a platform to connect to one another.
Thanks, Jaya. Dr. Joan, your turn.
Yes, I think one of our most important and perhaps unique freedoms is the freedom of religion. And I think sometimes we lose track of the importance of that particular freedom. And so I think this organization would offer special possibilities of putting before people what would it mean in this country if we did not have freedom of religion. And that is the way in which I think we can best address the varieties of religions that we now have, and give honor and respect to every religion, and even to those who don't claim for themselves a religion.
Thank you, Dr. Joan. Reverend Carolyn, your turn.
I would like to suggest that URI bring a level of diversity to the idea of diversity in religions, because so often when I attend the Parliament and other programs that are broader, I don't always see a lot of diversity in the people who are attending. So I'd like to actually be that face of diversity and connectiveness throughout North America.
Thank you, Reverend Carolyn. And sorry, I'm trying to get our folks who got kicked out somehow, not by any fault of their own, but the technology, they're trying to get them back in. But Fred, while we wait for them, we'll go to you.
All right. Yeah, I think in North America, what URI can really be in the coming years is a great example of how people of different traditions can come together in really more than peaceful ways, in really collaborative, powerful ways. And our model allows for so much freedom. It can be people working on environmental issues or big peace issues, or it can be a group of high school kids that skateboard together. The freedom to allow people to connect in ways they like and support that is kind of the magic of the URI. And in North America, it needs to grow in its time.
Thank you so much. And we're missing Ellen, so when she comes back in, we'll give her a chance to answer the same question. And in the meantime, thank you all for your responses to this question. If any of our audience members have a question, type that in the chat box. And I'll move on to another question. And that is the question being, what do you see as the role of URI and URI Global Council trustees in supporting and creating more cooperation circles? So What do you see as the role of Global Council trustees in supporting cooperation circles and in seeing more cooperation circles come into the URI network? And we're going to go in just kind of a randomized order here for fairness sake. And so, Ardey, can we have you go first? Ardey, are you there?
Yes, yes.
There you go.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
We can hear you now. Go ahead.
Thank you. It is a hands-on proposition, honoring, encouraging, helping facilitate people of like-minded ideas that want the same thing. The role of the trustee is to absolutely encourage and honor these folks.
Thank you, Ardey. And actually, before we move on fully to this next question, since we have Ellen back, and for some continuity, I'm going to ask Ellen, can you got cut off when you were answering the question initially. Can you answer the question as to what do you view as the role and purpose of United Religions Initiative in North America? Ellen? Hello?
Frozen again.
She is frozen again. Oh, Lord. Okay, I guess we're going to keep going then. I'm sorry about this. We're going to have to use a different platform next time, I think. Despite all our testing, we're still running into some issues. And so, okay, Ardey, thank you for your answer on that. And Jaya, can we have you go next on the question of what do you see as the role of a trustee in supporting cooperation circles and creating more cooperation circles?
Yeah, sure. I think for myself, when I think about the role of a global trustee, I think a lot about resource sharing. I think creating increased opportunity for people to engage in creating actual tangible ways to make that feel as accessible as possible to people, whether it be knowledge resources or funds resources, creating increased amounts of opportunity in that way. I also know that for myself, a lot of what I do is curriculum building around how to create healthy communities and communication systems for healthy dialogue, and I think sharing resources like that would be invaluable.
Thank you, Jaya. Reverend Carolyn, can you go next?
Yes, I'd like to build on that. That I think communication is so important, and a way that people would be interested in increasing the number of circles is by understanding the success of the ones who already exist. So I think it's important to share what we are doing and invite others in so that they can participate, giving them the opportunity through us having conference calls, getting together as circles, and finding other ways for us to communicate and be connected. Also to have an overall vision that people can buy into.
Thank you, Reverend Carolyn. And Reed, we'll have you go next.
Okay, I would like to second some of the things that Jaya and Reverend Carolyn just said. I think that it's very important to lift up examples of some of the work and some of the activities that our cooperation circles are doing. That's inspirational to others, and it also shows a way that people can, as they're thinking about forming circles, align around an idea or a project that will get them started.
Thank you. You were fast. Fred, you're next.
Okay, yeah, I think two things. The trustees really need to be strong, consistent communicators with the Leadership Council, the CCs, and the GSOs. We really need to do that to make the network strong. And the other part is we need to be, I want to say, brand ambassadors. I would like to see the URI star as recognizable as the Red Cross. I would like people not involved with interfaith to see the star and know that good things are happening even if they don't quite understand what goes on. And I think that will help create a greater awareness and a sense that people of different traditions can be good with each other on all kinds of societal levels.
Thanks, Fred. And just to interpret some of Fred's acronyms, GSO is the Global Support Office. That's the staff office of URI that supports the regional staff all over the world. Stephanie, we'll come to you next.
Yeah, I think it's really important for a trustee to be a bridge between the global board and the region.
Stephanie, we're having trouble. Your line's breaking up, so why don't we try and turn off your webcam and just have your voice? Does that work?
Let's see.
All right, Stephanie, are you there? Dr. Joan, can I ask you to go while she works out the technical parts?
Yes, I really think that compiling of what we've just heard from everyone that's spoken, it sums up to almost one simple thing, maybe not so simple to do, but to say that we become the witnesses to URI's principles, because by how we tell the story and how we live our lives and how we share with others, we become the witnesses to what we say we believe. And I think it's always important to witness to what you believe. It makes a difference.
Thank you, Dr. Joan. All right, Stephanie, do we have your voice at least?
Yeah, so what I was saying before is just I think it's important for a board member to be a bridge between the board and the region, and to bring the vision and the goals and the values from the region to the board, and then on the other side to bring the networking and the knowledge and the experience from other board members back to the region. And as far as really like supporting and creating cooperation circles, I think a big part of that is networking within your own community and meeting people, going out, encouraging people to form groups and to get together. And I've kind of experienced that on both ends, so yeah.
Thank you so much. Ellen, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Well, the role of United Religions Initiative and our cooperation circles and the role of the trustees in that, I think, is to really work collaboratively to promote the work, to share that throughout our CCs throughout North America. I think when we're speaking of, North America as a whole, what's really lacking there is a voice and a presence from Canada. And in my role, that's what I'm really looking at doing, is establishing that provincially and territorially, from sea to sea to sea, from the Pacific to the Atlantic to the Arctic.
And those, I think, is all we have time for at the moment. We're at about an hour from the moment we started. And so I just want to thank you all for taking the time to be here. Thank you all for your candidacy, to your cooperation circles who nominated you. And the voting period is now. So cooperation circles, you should have all received your ballots from Karen Hernandez if you are certified. If you have any questions about this, feel free to email myself or Karen Hernandez, who is coordinating the Global Council election this year, and we'll make sure that you get all the documentation you need. It is also all available on URI's website if you go under About Us, and then there's an option for trustee selection. All of the documents are there, and the ballot is there, so you and your cooperation circle can meet and decide who you will be casting your 3 votes for. Thank you so much again to all of the candidates and to anyone who is watching this now or who will be watching this in the future. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.